Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our lesson Fraction 1 book. And this is the third lesson, and you can tell it's the third lesson by looking up here 1.3. You're on page 17. We skip page 16. So 16 you can skip, and 17 we start. Okay, so here we go. Miss Cheddar asked her students to draw diagrams to show that 2/3 is equal to 4/6. Follow your teachers. So here we are. Number one, we're going to make area models. If you remember, area models look like a square or a rectangle. It's versus the number line. That's the other way to show it. So we're going to draw 2/3 as an, no, my pen is not working, obviously. 2/3 as an area model means you're going to draw yourself something like a rectangle. That's usually what I start out with. And that's your whole. That's the number one, the whole thing, right? And because we have 3 parts, we got to divide it into 3 equal segments. So these are pretty equal. And we want 2 of these shaded. So we got 1/3 and then 2/3. Yeah. And then we want to show that it's the same as 4/6. So we're going to draw the same type of rectangle, the same size, which is our 1 whole, but we're going to divide it into, what do you think, 6 equal parts. So I'm going to do the thirds. And then this way I can have 6 equal parts. And I need to shade 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 out of 6 is the same as 2 out of 3. And the way you can see is you group it. It looks like it's just about the same area. My models are pretty close. 2/3 is equal to 4 out of 6. Yeah. So in other words, this right here is the same as this. And this here is the same as that. And this, same as this. And for number 2, I'm going to say show that 2/3 is equal to 4/6 by using the big one. So we can say 2/3 times, because it's expanding. And so what am I multiplying with to get to 6? The multiplication here is 3 times, it's 2, right? 2/2 is the big one. And on this page, this is what is it saying? Notes. I'm skipping some of these, so you're only going to get number 7. No, actually, that's it. Oops. That's it for this page. Yeah, we're going to the next page. So you can actually cross these out. So you're not getting marked down when I check your work to make sure that. So this is homework, and your job is to do the same thing as I showed you on the previous page. So the example here is given. So you need to show that 2/5 is the same as 6 out of 15. So 2/5 would be the top here. If I circle this part here, 1, 2 out of 5, this is your 2/5. And then this would be the 2/5 and this 2/5. And so that's the same. 6 you can group it this way. That's the 6 out of the 15. You got 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's just a way of grouping it differently. And then over here, from 5 to 15, you're multiplying by 3. And from 2 to what? 2 times what is 6? It's also 3. So this is that one. And now you're going to do number 2, and you're doing it backwards. So you're getting the big 1, and you need to come up with this part here. So your question is this. Here, you got to fill in this and this. Let's see how you're doing. So with this one, you only have this clue to go by. You need to draw an area model and then come up with the equivalent fractions. Okay, and here you got the area model. You need to come up with the equivalent fractions and the big one. So good luck on that. That's your homework. And what happened here? Yep, you got to do number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's your homework. And I think that's pretty easy. You need to figure out, how do I get from 2 to 6 by multiplying? It's 3, right? 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. So these are it right here. And these are notes. Now we're on page 20. And we're learning on this page, we're talking about writing fractions in simplest form. So that's called reducing. Remember when I used that word reducing, it's when you divide by the same number, top and bottom. Gosh, sometimes my pen acts up. Doesn't want to work. Reducing means dividing, yeah? Okay, these are factors of 24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12. All these numbers go into 24 evenly. 24 goes into 24 once. 12 goes into 24 twice. 8 goes into 24 3 times. 6 goes into it 4 times, and so forth. Okay, these are not factors of 24. 5 does not go into 24. If you divide 24 divided by 5, you're going to have a remainder, right? So when you have a remainder, it's not a factor. Same with 14. None of these will have remainders when you divide. Okay, when it's no remainder, it's a factor. And then a factor of a number is a divisor, dividing, of that number. No remainder. Okay, write all factors of the given numbers. So for 12, what numbers go into 12? Look, they started with 1. 1 goes into 12, 2 goes into 12 6 times, 3 goes into 12 4 times, because 3 times 4 is 12. 4 goes into 12 evenly, no remainder. 5, nope. 5 does not go into 12 without a remainder. 6 goes into it, 7, nope. 8, nope. 9 doesn't. 10 doesn't. 11 does not, but 12 goes into 12. So the factors are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Now your job is to find these. You're going to do this one, and this one. So you're finding the factor. So I'm going to make that homework for you to find the factors. Okay, if you need to use a calculator, if you can divide and there's no remainder, it's a factor. That means it's a divisor. Okay. All right, these are fractions in simplest form. We like our fractions in simplest form because they're easier to understand. So the simplest form is when your numerator is not a divisor of the denominator. Like these are not related at all. You cannot divide. Do you see that? They don't go in, besides 1 and 2. That's about the only one, because you can divide 1 into 2. But none of these others. Okay, these are not fractions in simplest form because you can divide. Look, 2 and 4, you could divide top and bottom by 2. 10 and 15, not simple because you can divide by 5. 6 and 16, you can divide by 2, top and bottom. That's another, dividing by 2. Actually, this one you can divide by 4 even, because 4 goes into 4. So they're not in simplest form. These are. We say a fraction is in simplest form when both numerator which is the top, and denominator, which is your bottom, have no common factors. Or divisors. Okay. So over here, we're going to write the fractions in simplest form. And it says show a big one calculation. So we're going to try that. So the 6 and the 8, you can divide both by 2. So 2 is a factor that goes into 6 and into 8. So I'm going to make it 2 over 2. That's my big one, right? 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 3/4 is simplest form. So remember, reducing means dividing. Okay, so 6 and 12, you can divide by 6, both top and bottom. So I'm going to make that my big one. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So this is simplest form. This one, I'm thinking numbers that go into, I think, 3 and 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And this one will be 5 over 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 25 divided by 5 is 5. I want you to finish this page. I'm actually going to do number 15. You guys can do 11, 12. Try it yourself. This one is easy. You can cancel any common zeros. That's a quick way to reduce. You can cancel out any common zeros. And 15, I'm going to divide. See, the way I can start is if both numbers are even, they're always divisible by 2. So I start with 2 on big ones and see if I can keep going. 48 divided by 2, use a calculator if you have to, it's 24. 100 divided by 2 is 50. Notice they're still even, so I'm going to keep that going, that pattern. I can do it more than once. 24 divided by 2 is 12. 50 divided by 2 is 25. That's it. This is your answer. And how do I know? None of them are even. I mean, they're not both even numbers. And this is only divisible by 5. And this is divisible by 2 and by 3 and by 4. So we're done. So you're going to do these for homework. Finish these up yourself. What does she say here? Annika thinks 6/24 is the same as 3/12. Is she correct? Is it in simplest form? Explain. So you're also going to do that. Do you think it's in simplest form or no? What would be the big one? Yeah, I can see it already. Let's see. So now we're on page 21. We're almost done with this book, guys. And then we have to see if we understand this. Comparing fractions using common denominators. Did I skip anything? Okay. Comparing fractions using common denominators. These are multiples of 6. 6 is a multiple of 6. This is kind of like your times table. 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18, and so on and so forth, just like your times table. These are not multiples of 6. 1, 2, 3, 7, 14, because 6 times what is 1? Nothing, right? 6 times what is 2? Nothing. 6 times what number is 3? Nothing. So none of this works, okay? The multiple of a number is, find that in my notes. Multiple of a number is, and I wrote like timetable. Those are the multiples. Write the first 6 multiples of each number. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Then 4, what's the next one? That's 1 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. You can always add another 4. Adding the same number over and over is the same as multiplying. And then 6. I want you to do that for homework. And that's also homework. So we're still on page 21, just to give you a reference. And these fraction pairs have a common denominator, 12 and 12, 30 and 30, 20 and 20. So a common denominator is the bottom number, bottom is same. Okay, 12 and 12, 30 and 30, 20 and 20. The top number does not matter. It's the bottom, okay? These fractions do not have a common denominator. See how they're different? 5 and 10, 40 and 20, 6 and 5, yeah? Bottom is not the same. Okay, so it's all about the bottom number. This right here. Oops. Two fractions have a common denominator when the denominator is the same. Okay, so now we have to rewrite both fractions with a common denominator. Circle the fraction with the greater value. So two things we have to do, 1/2 and 3/4. We always change the smaller denominator to the bigger one. So the smaller denominator is 2, we got to make it a 4. So we are using a big one, right? 1/2 times, to make it bigger, remember expanding, when you loosen your belt and you're all full and you've got to expand a little bit, it's because you've gotten bigger when you eat a big meal. Expanding means you're multiplying. What are we multiplying with? From 2 to get to 4. It's times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and the big one is always the same, top and bottom. 1 times 2. Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, yeah, 1 times 2. Oh, so it's, here we go, 2/4, and it's not equal. This is my mistake. This is where I went wrong. Okay, I gotta fix that for you because I don't want you to think they're equal. They're not. Two-fourths, this is equal. 2/4 and 3/4 have the same denominator. Okay, so we go take the smaller one and make it to the bigger one. So now let's try 2/3. 2/3 and 3/4. I'm taking the smaller one, 2/3, and but I can't make it a 4 because these are not factors of each other. So I have to figure out a number they have in common. I'm going to show you a quick shortcut. It always works. You can multiply these two. Multiply. It's not always the lowest, but it works. So 3 times 4 is 12. So if 2/3, how do I get to the 12? Three times what makes it 12? It's a 4, right? 3 times 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. So 2/3 turns into 8/12, and 3/4 times what is the 12? We want the common denominator. 4 times 3 is 12. So I'm multiplying top and bottom by 3. So my big one is 3. Here it was 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 3 is 12. So now we have 8/12 and 9/12. So these two have a common denominator. I'm going to show you another cool shortcut that I want to show you, just so that this is a little confusing. So remember I said start out with this, and then you go from here to here and multiply, and you can go from here to here. It's like a cross, crisscross, right? 3 times 4 is the 12. 4 times 2 is 8. And 3 times 3 is 9. And voila, you have two fractions with the same denominator. Okay, the crisscross. Let's try that again. So you're multiplying here. It's all multiplying. Okay, 8 times 6 is 42. But the only thing is, sometimes you have to reduce. That's the only thing. But if you don't mind reducing at the end, this always works. 8 times 6 is 42. 6 times 7 is, wait, 8 times 6 is 48. Sorry, 8 times 6 is 48, I believe. Yeah. 6 times 7 is 42. And the other one is 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 6 is 48. So now we have common denominator, so the crisscross. However, these fractions are too big. They're not reduced. So you need to reduce them. You can divide by 2, Both are divisible by 2, so then we have 21 over 24. 48 divided by 2, and this one turns into 20 over 48 divided by 2 is also 24. This one can be reduced again. 10 over 12, still even numbers. I keep dividing by 2, 5 over 6. This one, so it's 5, 6. This one can be divided by 3. I'm trying to think if I'm still fulfilling what I'm supposed to do. We're supposed to write both fractions with a common denominator. I think this is it. We can stop here because we have a common denominator. I don't think it's asking us to reduce. This would be 7 over 8. Yeah, no, this is it. So stop right here. I'm going to erase that. You could reduce once. You could say, if you divide by 2, we could have 21 over 24 and divide by 2, 20 over 24. That would be the perfect scenario right here. These two. You'd still have a common denominator. Okay, but it's a little bit smaller than this. All I did was divide top and bottom by 2. Okay, let's try this again. So multiply 4 and 5. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5. And the second one is 20 again. 4 times 3 is 12. So there you are. You have your common denominator, and the top is, it's called expanding. Let's try this again. 3 and 5, crisscross. 3 times 5 is 15. Both will have 15. Then you can multiply across. 5 times 5, 25. 3 times 7, 21. If you need a calculator to multiply these numbers, please do. Find one, stop your video, see if you can practice that. Okay, crisscross. 8 and 12, if you multiply 8 times 12, it's going to be a big number like this, and you're going to end up having to reduce. Yeah, so I already know that 8 and 12 have a common denominator of 24. And it's because I already know in my head. 8 goes into 24. I know my times tables real well. 8 goes into 24 and 12 goes into 24. If you need to, I can give you a paper with the times table on it, and you can keep it in your binder and use it all the time to look for these kind of things. Or you can just print one out on the internet to help you out with the times tables, okay? And I can show you how to use it, how to read it too. So I'm a little hesitant to continue because now you're like, well, before she did this, now she doesn't. We can still do this crisscross, but you need to end up reducing. So it's up to you. We'll just do it. 8 times 12 is 96. 12 times 3 is 36. 8 times 5 is 40. Notice all even numbers. That's why I'm dividing everything by 2. Even, top and bottom even number, divide by 2. Yeah, you're looking at the last digit. 6 is even, that means the whole number is even. So 36 divided by 2 is 18. 96 divided by 2 is 48. Here and here, 20 over 48. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to divide by 2 one more time and see if my denominator is still the same. 9 over 48 divided by 2 is 24. And 10 20 divided by 2 is 10 over 24. And I think this is as far as I can go. So these two have a common denominator and they're reduced. Okay, now guys, let's see what else is coming here. Last part, and this is homework, but I'm gonna get you started. So a grape juice recipe is made with parts of concentrated grape juice, capital G, and parts of water, capital W. Here are 4 pictures that show recipes for making grape juice. Which is the most grapey? Which has the biggest fraction of G? Okay, so this one here is 2 out of 3. Okay, this one here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of how many? 8, right? And you guys know what's up. You guys know how to figure this out. Use your fraction strips if you have to. You want the number that's the biggest. You want to find the biggest fraction. Yeah? And I'm going to leave that to you. You got to figure out how many G's do we have. This is 3 out of 6. And this is 3 out of 4. Now, you guys tell me which is the biggest fraction when we get back. And then I believe we're done with this book. You need to, you can skip this page. And then you're going to skip this page. You don't have a poster problem right now. Maybe I'll give you one. The part is we can't do group work. That's the hard part. You do need to do your vocabulary. Make sure you fill that in. Your vocabulary words are on the first page. Remember the front of your book, and they're also back here. These are your words, and you can look them up. And then I think we're done with this book. There's more examples back here if you need to study them before the test next week. And make sure you have your homework and the book done before Tuesday. That's when we're taking the test. And I wish you the best. And we go over every question you have on Tuesday before we take the test. Okay, Monday is no school.